Hello world, welcome back to Razor RC. We got another fun one for you today. I just picked up the Arrma Kraton full option roller. This is the EXB version, which stands for Extreme Bash. So this is a brand new kit that just came out from Arrma Horizon Hobby today. Actually, I just picked it up today. It is based on the Kraton 6S line, so pretty much an Arrma Kraton 6S, but it comes as a roller and then comes with a bunch of new updates that increase the durability and a little bit of new technology as well. Let's kind of take a quick look at what they got going on in the back of the box. So as you can see, brand new updated shock towers. So these are 7075 T6 aluminum, so a much harder aluminum than the stock. I think it was like a 6061 aluminum. Front and rear shock towers, brand new chassis, also 7075. It's got this nice little etching and laser engraving and stuff like that, but the main thing is they increased the durability of this. Brand new aluminum shock tower braces, front and rear, and then they got the aluminum tower to tower brace, of course, there. The super, I think it's called the Super Bash bumper or Super Basher bumper or something like that, but a brand new bumper, massive coverage, basically wheel to wheel on the front end, brand new part for that. And then the part I'm most interested in, the most exciting thing, is that they got this brand new limited slip differential. So they got these new slipper pads and slipper discs inside of the differential. We'll see how that works. I have some thoughts on how I think that works and then why they did that as well. Some new braces here on the bottom, and then here you got some more information on what it looks like underneath. There's the front bumper again. You got this matte black body, and then over here, what have we got? The brand new strengthening caps and stuff. I think the arms are redesigned, a little bit thicker and more durability overall. So yeah, pretty excited to pick this up. This sells for $469 here in the United States. Just came out today. It is my first Arrma Kraton 6S, pretty much my first 6S vehicle that I've picked up from them. So I'm super excited. And I have to give credit to where credit is due. Arrma, you know, in the past have made some design choices that I felt like were mistakes, and I put some videos about the worst thing about whatever, this and that, but they kicked butt on this one. I'm really happy to see this. They actually put out a 6S vehicle that I'm interested in. I think the previous Kraton 6S, you know, had some durability issues if you're doing total sends. If you were launching at 30 feet in the air, yeah, the chassis would break. The shock tower braces were made out of plastic, and that was one of the first upgrades people did. Aluminum maybe not quite as durable, so it is cool to see that they put out a really nice looking kit. They also got rid of the STX2 radio because this comes as a roller, so it kind of comes with like everything you want, nothing you don't need, and then at a pretty reasonable price to boot. So $470 I think is a really good value for super high quality, all aluminum, massively durable roller kit from Arrma, and it's kind of targeted more at the serious enthusiasts, the guys that really want to put in their own power systems, want to configure how they, you know, want with the motor, ESC, the batteries, and the radio. So yeah, super excited about this, and let's take a look inside the box. Okay, here we go. We got the Kraton EXB taken out of the box. Pretty simple affair, no zip ties or anything needed, no wire cutters. You just pull out the cardboard and it's ready to go. So we'll go through kind of the simple stuff first. It does include a whole set of pistons. There's no information on what the shock pistons are, but judging by what's left in the bag, I'm guessing they are 8 by 1.2 millimeter fronts and 8 by 1.3 millimeter rears. It's nice they include 1.4s as well, so you can actually tune your shocks for the piston speed that you want. I'll explain that probably some other time, but also includes the pinion, which I think is 12 tooth mod 1 gearing, with a little bit of thread lock on that set screw, so that's good to know. A lot of people had trouble with the red Loctite on the stock 6S Kraton, so they kind of addressed a lot of the issues that people complained about. Nice set of tools, including a serious looking wheel nut wrench there, so T-handle nut wrench. You got all your stickers, including the 6S stickers, so if you run 6S you can slap those on. Cool to see. Nice to get the decals. And then I went through the manual real quick, and it's pretty interesting because there's some things in here you don't normally see. So different languages, of course. Tell you how to install a motor, what tools you need. So since this is a roller, there's a little bit of work you got to do to get this thing up and running. Includes a 25 tooth servo horn, metal. So that's really nice to see. I'm sure they had to fight Spectrum on not including a 23 tooth servo horn. So thank you, Arrma, for putting in the 25 tooth. I'm sure there's some meetings about that. Explain how to mount the receiver, how to put in the batteries, all that stuff. And then another interesting thing, they have a maintenance schedule. So they tell you, okay, after every, pack, check your tires. After every 20 packs, check your diffs, change the shocks, and then instructions on basically how to maintain the vehicle, including, applying a little CA glue there on your tires. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. I've never seen a vehicle with like a maintenance schedule, but I think that's a good thing, And then your normal like parts, explosion diagrams, all the parts numbers, how the shocks fit together, all that stuff. So yeah, pretty interesting instruction manual. I'm glad they provide some information on how to work on your vehicle. So here's my Kraton EXB. Comes with the Copperhead 2 tires, which I think is the same as the regular 6S Kraton. Nice black matte body. A little bit thinner than I was expecting. It's got the nice little reinforcement tapes. No messaging here on the bottom. But yeah, some little protection so you don't scratch at the body. Feels a little thinner than the 4S Kraton body, and that may just be my imagination, but it does seem that way. And then here's the vehicle itself. So I'm going to talk about this truck in a bunch of different areas because this is the first 6S Kraton I've gotten. Some of the stuff is going to be what's new on the truck, and then some of it's just going to be interesting things I found. So let's take a closer look at the truck. Okay, so taking a look at the front end, you can see the nice CNC machined, I think they're 5mm 7075 T6 aluminum sway bars front and rear. I did notice they did make some changes to the sway bar, so they're running 2.4mm front and rear. I think the stock sway bar is 2.7 in the rear. A little bit of play here. Maybe there's something we can do to fix that. There you can see the new arms. So they did beef up the arms. They did add some extra little aluminum pieces on the arms to help them stay in place. Steering feels super smooth. There's the new bumper, so the Super Basher bumper should provide a little more protection. Nice aluminum shocks, including aluminum shock caps. Super stiff springs. They are a fairly progressive rate spring and fairly thick oil. So they've got, I think the 1.2mm pistons front, 1.3mm rears, 8x, and then they run 1000 CST oil, which is about 80 weight if you're running like Associate oil. Nice steel heavy duty drive shafts with the out drives. They got these new hinge pins. Looks like they use kind of like set screws or something to hold the hinge pins in place. But yeah, very sturdy looking vehicle. There on the front end, a little bit of guards there for mud so you don't get the chassis all dirty. So the 7075 chassis, I believe this is 3mm, so should be way stiffer and thicker than the stock piece. Much more durable. You got the little protection for the cab so it doesn't crumple the body if you land on the roof. I think the motor mount is exactly the same. Nice little machined piece. I believe the servo mount is slightly different. 25 tooth aluminum servo horn, nice to see. I'm glad they got the 25 tooth in there. And then a little ESC tray where you can mount your ESC. So motor wise, you can fit a pretty large can, humongous can. I have no idea how big that is, probably like 150mm or so. I think height wise or diameter wise, you're limited somewhere around a 50mm can. I don't know exactly if it's 49 or 52 or what, but that's gonna fit most large cans. Little battery clips here. Center diff with the new limited slip system. So the way I think the limited slip works is that basically as the gears kind of separate, so under power, as the diff is slipping, you kind of get the spider gears internally like expanding or going outward and pressing against those limited slip plates. I think that will then provide a little bit more friction, so you kind of get like limited slip action on power, but then as the diff gears basically release or off power, when you let go of the throttle, they'll all kind of contract a little bit, release pressure on those slipper plates. So I think you kind of get this on power limited slip effect, but off power it should still kind of rotate and diff out as normal, which will allow you to still steer. So pretty ingenious system. We'll see how it works, but I like what the direction they're going. I mean, at some point, you're filling these things up with like 100K, 200K, million, whatever, and you kind of top out on the diff fluids that you can actually put in there. So you get that limited slip action in addition to some super thick fluid. You could run some serious power and not diff out as well. So that's pretty cool. The other interesting thing, and something probably most people won't notice, is that the center diff is kind of offset, right? It's not straight down the middle of the vehicle. You may wonder why or what that actually does. It may be for the braces, but in my opinion, actually the reason they do that, and the reason they actually do that on most 8th scale vehicles, is actually to kind of split the power front and rear a little bit differently. So if you notice, the front dog bone is a little bit, or CVA, I think it's CVA. Dog bone, I'm not sure, dog bone looks like. The front dog bone is basically shorter, the rear one is longer, so you got a steeper angle in the front, a longer one in the back. Straighter shot to the rear diff, basically sending more power a little more efficiently to the rear, a little bit more bind, a little bit less efficient to the front. So the power distribution actually should be sending a little bit more to the rear with kind of this setup. A lot of vehicles you can actually tune the diff location, which then tunes kind of the diff power distribution, so it's not equal 100% or 50% front and rear. There's actually some tuning going on. You got the aluminum tower to tower brace, so that should add additional durability there. Some little plastic mounts, heavy duty body mounts. Battery system is super nice, so expandable tray for height, expandable length basically because it's open-ended here on the rear, so you can use longer battery packs or shorter battery packs. And then here's your little receiver box. I don't know if it's considered waterproof or not, but that may be Atrax's patented thing. They don't really like other people using that terminology. So little antenna tube if you use that sort of thing. Moving on to the rear, they do include these new little caps on the dog bone or input gears, so that way I think a lot of people are having trouble. In the previous versions they used a lot of red Loctite, which is pretty permanent, hard to get off. They did that basically because they didn't want all these threaded pieces to back out on their own, so using red Loctite basically ensures that. But the downside is it does make it difficult to remove, so they kind of went with some different designs. So nice to see they made some improvements in that area. That was another thing that people complained about. 4mm massive turnbuckles. On the rear end you got longer shocks, so you got pretty progressive rate springs on the shocks. Nice little shock boots to protect it from dirt and dust. Nice little covers on top of the shocks, basically protect the shock caps from any damage. Single shear shock mounts, interesting as well. There are different shock mounting locations, so that is pretty cool to see. There's looks like 2 in the front. You can adjust droop that way, basically mounting them a little bit lower gives you a little more droop if you don't want to mess with shock locations. I think it has droop screws. Yeah, it looks like there are droop screws as well. Front has even more shock mounting locations. So in my opinion, the Arrma 6S line is basically kind of their most race-oriented line. They're not really race trucks, right? Arrma makes bashers, as they say, wrench, bash, repeat. A little picture of a car there, or a truck. But a lot of people don't realize this, but Arrma actually used to be a race company. They made the Team Durango vehicles, which actually were really popular. Well, not really popular vehicles, but highly well-regarded vehicles in the race world. Not super popular, but they were pretty inventive and created a lot of technology. A lot of the stuff you see nowadays in 10-scale buggies, like the easy access diffs, the adjustable length dog bones that you see on some of the new kits like the TLR 22X4, that kind of all originated from Team Durango, and a lot of those engineers kind of stayed on when they moved over to Arrma. Team Durango kind of petered out and died. It was never really that profitable, I assume, but it's cool to see all that technology that they learned and invented in Team Durango basically being applied to Arrma. And so if you ever wonder why your Arrmas drive so well, how come they handle so well, it's basically due to those guys actually knowing what they're doing. So I got to give a big shout out to the Arrma guys, the engineers that put in nice little details on these vehicles. They basically get everything right handling wise, so it's pretty cool to see. So another thing they changed on the EXB is they went to the 2.4 millimeter rear sway bar. That is interesting. I suspect the reason they did that is because of the much stiffer chassis. So normally the thicker sway bar, what it does is actually basically reduce roll or sway. So it's oftentimes called an anti-roll bar. So it prevents roll, which roll, you know, people think, oh, roll is bad. Well, not exactly. Roll provides traction. A more flexible chassis also will provide traction because that rear end is kind of adjusting, flexing, allowing the tires to kind of dig in. And so when you already have that flex, maybe you can run a stiffer sway bar. But now that you've got the stiffer chassis and the stiffer braces and everything, you know, the whole chassis itself, I assume, does not really bend at all. So you can run a little bit lighter sway bar to allow the rear tires to kind of dig in and get you a little more of that rear traction. So yeah, pretty interesting change there. I don't think anyone else has called that out. 17 millimeter hexes, of course, nice little black hexes and red axles. In the manual, they do say to vent the tires if you're running in dirt and dust. So I will definitely do that, as well as kind of tape up the holes on the wheels. But yeah, pretty cool looking truck overall. I think the wing may have changed. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I think the wing mount may have changed. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, pretty excited about this truck. Looks really, really good. You know, I have to hand it to Arrma. They listen to their customers. They watch these videos. They take into account the problems and issues people have and kind of the complaints, and then look for, you know, really nice solutions. They're always improving their products, and to me, this is probably the best vehicle in the Arrma lineup. I mean, it sells for $470, which I think they nailed it on the price. Right, the RTR I know is $550, but you get so many aluminum upgrades, durability improvements, much higher quality materials overall. They get rid of the stuff you don't really need, like the RTR radio. You know, most people that are buying $500, $600 RC cars probably already have a radio or two in their possession. Now, in terms of my actual vehicle, here's the electronics I picked out. So I'm basically going to run typical stock Kraton 6 S-type power. So this is the WP8BL 150 Hobby Wing ESC, so 6S capable, 150 amps. I'm going to run this, which is the Z-Run, what do they call this? This is actually the 2000 kV 4-pole motor. I think it's a 42 by 74 millimeter motor. I think the stock Kraton motors or Arrma motors are 40 by 74, so this is slightly fatter. It's actually sold as like the Easy Run for 2000 kV motor, which is actually the old Z-Run. So the Z-Run brand is basically their high-end race stuff. When they came out with the Gen 2 Z-Run stuff, they basically sold these as the Easy Run version. Servo-wise, I'm putting in a Power HD, what is WP 23 kilogram servo, so plenty of torque, 250 ounce-inches, and then speed 0.12 seconds. I think that's at 6 volts, so should be plenty fast, plenty of power. And then battery wise, I'm going with this guy, the SMC Graphene Extreme V2, 4000 milliamp hours. I don't like running super high capacity batteries. Big reason for that is that big batteries are much heavier. They don't survive crashes quite as much, so I like running a little bit smaller batteries. This one in particular actually is kind of an LCG type battery. So it's a 6-cell battery, but as you can see, it's pretty low profile. So pretty cool to see these high quality, high C rating batteries actually come in like this slim sort of battery pack. So it will, hopefully it fits in here actually. Might be a little bit flat in there. We'll have to see. So anyways, yeah, that's it. That is my Kraton EXB unboxing, my look at the details involved with this brand new truck from Arrma. Super excited about this. I'm going to wire up the electronics and get this thing going. And so yeah, look for more videos on this soon. Thanks for watching. Take care. Definitely like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button. Look for more videos soon. Adios.